CNBC-TV18 presents Charging Up the EV Revolution.
Mr. Subbu, and Randhir, I'm going to come to you here because of late, two-wheeler EVs have gotten a lot of bad press because of the safety concerns, batteries catching fire, so on and so forth. And also in that vein, the government has also introduced some standardization norms when it comes to some of these safety concerns. So two parts to my question, Mr. Subbu, let me start with you, is that, this whole issue of the two-wheeler market, which clearly appears to be the market with maximum potential, but also perhaps the maximum safety concerns. And, what do you make of these policy norms about standardizations, the new standards that industry has to meet with? Do you think this impacts both the business dynamics, as in are companies prepared? Is it realistic to introduce these kind of norms at this current juncture?
So let me take you back many, many years to when the government started talking to the auto industry about, Bharat Stage 2 norms that they were. I remember how the industry was dragged kicking and screaming to bring up norms on emission in areas like this. Industry will typically tend to obfuscate on matters, try to look for excuses, try to look for ways out of a rapid technology scale up and so on. But I think the government is absolutely right in looking for standardization, because after all, who is your constituency? The consumer is your constituency, and you cannot you cannot morally try and bring out products which are not adhering to any kind of a standard. I think you can't today have somebody going out to China buying battery cells which are probably not accepted by anybody else, and come in and then start building the batteries out here, and then those catch fire, and then the entire industry gets a bad name. So where do you start? You have to start with saying that we will mandate a certain standard in everything that is fitted into a vehicle. And then we will mandate a certain performance standard. I think it's completely understandable, and I believe the faster the government pushes these standards through, the better it is for the consumer.
Randhir Singh, let me ask you this question, because if you look at government policies so far, they've been huge enablers for a lot of the investments, for this kind of growth that we've seen in the market. It's been a carrot policy. Now there seems to be a bit of a stick, given some of the safety concerns. But in order for this market to evolve, how do you think the government policy needs to move? Because as I said, by 2024, many of those policies are actually going to lapse.
Let us understand first, it's not only the policy, but the technology also, which drives all these parameters together. And from government side, in fact, there are many steps which we have taken recently in both the directions. From the technology front also. For example, the PLI for advanced chemistry cells. So what happens is, right now, almost 99% plus advanced chemistry cells are being imported. At cell level, they are imported from outside the country. The advanced chemistry cell program, which has received the 2.6 times of the available 50 gigawatt hour bids, almost to the tune of 128 gigawatt hour. This clearly shows the will for the localization in our country. That means first attack is on the production, the main root of the problem, that is the cells, through which the issues arises. Now, second issue comes around the charging side. Now, I'm not sure how many of you are already aware that 17 charging standards has already been released by the BIS. In addition to this, Ministry of Power has come out with the charging guidelines, charging infra guidelines. In fact, this year it has already been, re-released with the updated information.
I'm just going to ask Avnish Bajaj to react here, because as an investor, when you have some of these norms come in, it just means perhaps further investments. But that's what we ultimately need. I mean, it's said that, some of these imported components simply won't work in India in the long haul. And we are seeing that play out with, some of these fire situations which have come up.
You look at EV penetration globally, there is not one tropical climate country in the world that has significant EV penetration. So, Norway, for example, has 70-80%. What's the weather over there? China has good penetration, but, generally cooler climates. So what may seem like a problem, I actually see as a big opportunity. And to Mr. Randir's point, if you're looking at cell chemistry, if you're looking at battery management systems, if you're looking at each of manufacturing, obviously, of the cells from a tropical country, if the next wave of growth we know in the context of global warming has to be a lot of the countries that have low penetration need to increase their penetration. Well, guess which country can emerge as a global supplier for all that? It's India. So to me, a consumer doesn't care what the chemistry is, what the reason is. Absolutely, the safety has to be paramount.
Anil Kumar, as a consultant who's been analyzing this space, the fact of the matter is everyone recognizes investments need to be made in India because we have a completely different climate that makes issues like battery fires. We are much more prone to that. Yet we see perhaps more imports than any sort of manufacturing facilities being set up, barring a few. So, how do you address some of the points that have been just shared right now?
I think we are at a journey, at the beginning of the journey, and the amount of the traction which the two-wheelers, four-wheelers, and EV in general have seen in India is at a very, very initial stages right now. The good part is, as I think Avnish was talking about, the adoption has actually taken quite a bit of a growth in last couple of years. And as we see, there is a significant set of vehicles which are being sold in Indian market. This is where now the need of really start doing a complete end-to-end vertical integration starts coming in. But at the same time, I think when it comes to really creating a success story, companies like Ola, which have done a vertical integration, I think that's something which I already spoke about, is going to be one of the important plays in the market that you cannot outsource, or you cannot sort of pick the technology from outside India and create a successful solution.
Mr. Subbu, you have been predicting many changes for the industry, including for the, for the ICE market as well, the ICE market as well. What's your prediction now going forward?
I believe that what this country will see is a very, very rapid growth in electric, in the acceptance of EV technologies. I believe you will see the mass markets will move very rapidly. The two-wheeler markets will move very rapidly. I expect that with a little bit of government push, all intra-city commercial vehicle movement can actually become electric within the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay, the future is definitely electrified. Anil Kumar, how do you see the future?
Two-wheelers are bound to be anywhere between 70% to 100% in next 8 to 9 years go electric. And then followed by a more centralized approach, which is the government-owned buses and large fleets, which could be sort of moved to electric much more easily. And then probably the third wave is about four-wheelers, which is a bit more trickier, relatively more trickier to solve for. But there as well, we're expecting at least about 20 to 30% of the vehicles start getting into electric mode by next 8 years or so.
Right. Avnish Bajaj, your view of what the future looks like?
So my net prediction, Bill Gates has said this before, that as technologists, we tend to overestimate what will happen in the near term and underestimate what will happen in the long term. And I am there in terms of the EV ecosystem and the EV story for India. I don't know what will happen in 2025, but my view is 2030 will exceed all of our optimistic projections.
Final word goes to you, Randir Singh from Niti Aayog. Everyone's talking about 2030. What's going to happen in 2025? What's your prediction? What do you think are going to be the key focus areas?
Definitely, future is going to be electrified, as somebody said already. And there are three key areas, and I must say these are, to my mind, these are the three areas wherein we will see a lot of focus and innovation. One is from the business model side. We will see a different battery as a service business models. We will see auxiliary resource management such as BMS, connectors, software responsiveness. Second important part is robust recycling and the reuse setup. This is the area wherein a lot of focus is required, right from our dependency on the raw materials, right from our dependency on the processing of the raw materials, all those things. And the third part, in fact, this is the area wherein the world's biggest companies are right now, striving to get hold on, is the right skill and the capacity. The skilling and the capacity building. These are the three key areas on which we will see a lot of focus and innovation in coming days in our country.
Okay, gentlemen, it's been a fascinating discussion, an eye-opener as well. And as a customer, I think I've been pushed a little bit more to the EV side. I mean, looking at some of the key movements and changes which are coming in, but clearly the future is electrified, and EV mobility is here to stay and here to grow in India. Thank you so much for joining us on this very special discussion brought to you by CNBC-TV18.
CNBC-TV18 presents Charging Up the